Hi. So, my name is Zach, as you probably know, because the only people that are ever going to see this are going to be people I know. But, yeah, hi. So, recently a number of my friends have been telling me to make a YouTube channel. I don't know why. Well, I mean, they find me funny. Do I find me funny? Sometimes. Yeah, so people have been telling me to make a YouTube channel. And I see like channels like Curtis Connor and Levi Bernhardt, and I want to be that. I want to be Levi and Curtis. So here I am trying to be Levi and Curtis. Well, I'm not trying to be them. Like, I am myself. Like, I'm not gonna, but I love their editing style and I want to get into that. I mean, like, I literally have never opened iMovie before, so I don't know how this is gonna turn out. If it's even gonna turn out. Like, it may never make it into your eyeballs and earholes. But, yeah. Anyway, so I guess I'll just, like, talk a little bit about myself. I don't really know what this video is going to be. Also, sorry if I just, like, look away. Mostly there, but, like, literally anywhere else. I'm very easily distracted. My laptop's there, and that's it. And I'm just bad at eye contact. I'm like trying to like look at myself in the thing, but it's like it makes me so yeah, so I guess I'll just talk a little bit about myself, because that's not fucking narcissistic. So yeah, as I said, I'm Zach. I'm 18, nearly 19, in less than 2 months. Hey, boys. Yeah, so I'm nearly 19. I'm studying politics. I'm quite political, but will mostly keep it to myself because I am probably the most non-confrontational person that you will ever meet. I have like gone off at someone probably once in my entire life, and that was after months and months and months of... That could actually be a story time. Let's talk about my ex, because that's always a fun story. Okay, if he ever finds this, good. So, for those who haven't heard this story, like in my personal life, you're in for a treat. There's 4 layers to it. So I'll give you a little context. Chapter 1. Context. Basically, the dealio, my amigio, is I asked him out at the beginning of grade 10. I was 15, he was 14. He said yes. He, within 24 hours, told like the entire grade that I had asked him out in an excited way, but basically just outed me to the entirety of the cohort. We were together for 10 months. And in those 10 months, I could count on my hands the number of dates we spent less than 6 hours talking, probably 4 of which were about his issues. Which, like, no shade to people who, like, have mental health problems. Like, if you need to talk to someone, obviously talk about it. But it was a lot for me because he didn't really have any other emotional outlets. So it was just pretty much all on me, and I was basically his personal therapist. Which, I mean, like, in itself, I don't, like, hold that against him. But the main thing that I had a problem with was I wasn't allowed to have my off days. Like, I just remember one time, like, this is the one I always jump to in my head. I had a Spanish speaking competition. I tried really hard for it, like I spent hours and hours preparing for it, and I didn't place. I got highly commended, but didn't come first, second, or third. So I was quite upset about that because like Spanish was like my thing in high school. So I don't know, I just felt like shit. So I obviously like talked about it. I was like, oh, I feel kind of shitty about this thing. Like obviously like I did well, but I really thought I would have done better. And like he comforted me for like a whole whopping like 5 minutes. And then it pretty much turned to, oh, well, at least you can speak Spanish. Like, I can't do anything. At least you actually have a skill. Like, I'm useless. And I'm like, okay, but like, can I not have my own moments? Pain is relative. Like, just because you can't speak Spanish doesn't mean my relationship with Spanish isn't something that I should be invested in. And also, like, that was like a common thing throughout the whole relationship, was his jealousy of me. That I just found kind of insulting because I feel like he couldn't get it through his head how much I dedicated myself to Spanish. I spent hours and hours trying to learn as much as I could about Spanish. It wasn't just like I was in class and I just picked it up like... So I just felt that it didn't sit right with me how much he put me on a pedestal for it. Like, I was just kind of like, if you really want to learn Spanish that bad, then learn it. Like, anyway. Yeah, by the end of it, I was like telling him that he should see someone because I can't deal with this. I'm not your therapist. I'm not the person you should be going to literally all the time. Also, this is a lot on me. Like, I can't handle this. So I said that and I was like, you should go see someone. So he was like, oh, like I would, but I'm like really scared, like, and which is like fine. Like getting help is scary. So I was like, you know what? I will help you through this. So I was the one contacting Headspace. I was trying to make sure he was safe. I was looking up things online. I was emailing back and forth with some people. I went to his first couple sessions so that he would feel comfortable with the therapist. Hey, just me editing, jumping in real quick. I just wanted to clarify that in saying all this, I wasn't trying to say that he owed me anything or as if this was a transactional thing. Obviously, like, that is not at all the case. I just wanted to emphasize these points so that people know that I was very much trying my best to be helpful to the situation, and yeah, I just felt that all that happened afterwards was just shitty. Yeah. Even when he was seeing the therapist, he would like still vent all his problems to me, and I would be like, what's the go with the therapist? And he's like, oh, like I still don't really feel comfortable, and I'm like, that's what they're paid for. I was just kind of like, if you want this relationship to work, you're going to need to trust me on this, I guess. Which he never did. He still was like, oh, I don't feel comfortable, whatever. Eventually, I was just like, you know what? I can't deal with this. I'm sorry. I like sat him down and I was like, this is the end of us. I kind of prescribed him a little time without me. I was like, look, I still want to be friends with you, but don't try to rush into being friends with me, because I know that if you do that, A, you'll try to win me back. B, not much will be solved. So that was just basically the dealio with my relationship. So a couple weeks went by and he messaged me and was like, hey, so like, want to catch up? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we caught up and he was like, oh yeah, I'm making a lot of progress with my therapist. I'm doing so much better. And I'm like, that is so good. I am so glad to hear it. And then when we were going to the bus stop to part ways, he was just kind of like, hey, I need to ask you something. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, do you think you'll ever take me back? And I was like, no, this is fine. And he was like, oh, well, I guess in that case, I never want to talk to you again. And I was like, all right. Okay. So we parted ways. Okay. So this happened so many times. He would like come back into my life, vent to me about all his problems and wouldn't talk to his therapist. And I was like, stop. And like I kept like cutting him off. I was like, no, like no. And eventually got to the point where I was like over it at this point. This had happened 4 times. This was like within 2 months after the end of the relationship. So I was like, mate, look, this is literally like what I was trying to get away from by breaking up with you. The fact that I'm still dealing with that while not even being in a relationship with you is kind of ridiculous. So I was just like, I'm sorry, but I retract the whole I still want to be friends with you thing, period. So at that point I was like, out of my life, clear head, clear skin. So I sent that message and he replied back, basically being like, oh, well, I understand where you're coming from, like I get it, I respect that. I don't think you're a bad person, but just know that you've ruined me. And I was like, bitch, fucking get over yourself. Anyway, next day rolls around, literally the next day. I was on the bus going home. I was talking to this girl who had just transferred to our school. So I was just, you know, getting to know her, like, we would just say, oh, like, small talk, whatever. Bus was very full. And little did I know, who else would be on that bus, but I need to give him a name. Let's call him Joel. Joel walks up to me and her, like, we're in the middle of a conversation. And he's like, hey, Zach. And I'm like, bitch! The hell do you want? And he was like, about what I said yesterday, I've changed my mind. I do think you're a bad person and I think you should know that. And I was like, bitch. And then just continue talking to this girl. And then because the bus was so full, like he couldn't actually like leave from where we were having a conversation. It was, in hindsight, hilarious. So anyway, it gets to his stop. And because the bus is so full, I had to get off to let him off. So I did that. And as he was passing me, he was like,
happy 12 months, asshole.
And I was like, what the fuck did that solve? Like, yeah, I was just flabbergasted. I was like, who the fuck is this kid? Anyway, so that happened and I just didn't reply. And then, like, the next day he messaged me and was like, so, nothing? And I was like, how about I'm fucking done with your bullshit? Like, I, like, went off. That is the one time I've ever gone off at someone. And then he replied saying, oh, I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't think I actually sent that. I just typed that. I didn't think I sent it. I'm sorry. And I was like, you meant to send that. Like, just because I'm finally standing up for myself doesn't mean you can just backtrack. Like, don't even. I didn't reply to that because why would I? Anyway, also at some point, just like a side thing, when he weaseled into my life. No, this was, yeah, the last time he ever weaseled himself back into my life. And I, like, cut him off for good. It was because the previous time he had messaged me being like I was like bro, you need to stop. And he was like, yeah, I know, but like, I was like crying in math class sitting next to my best friends. And like, none of them like cared, they didn't talk to me. Like, I really just feel so alone. And I was like, oh my God, that's so shit. I'm not going to go into the details, but I basically found out that was a complete lie. He was crying, but like they were trying to talk to him the entire lesson, being like, hey mate, like what's wrong? Like talk to us, like what's wrong? And he would be like, shut up, don't talk to me. So also because one of them was like one of my best friends. Just kind of like lying about my best friends to get my sympathy, like no. So that's why I finally fully cut him off. So basically, everything was fine for a good while. I don't really know how long it was. I think it was like a month where like I heard nothing. And then I get a message on Skype because I think I blocked him everywhere else where we were still like contacts. Like I still like occasionally use Skype, but like I was always invisible. So it looked like I was just never online. So I think he just assumed that I didn't use Skype. So he was just like, I equate it to like when people like message dead relatives. Like, they're not gonna reply. It's like cathartic to be able to release it to someone you know. So he would basically just send me little journal entries. He would like send those like every like couple days. Like, it wasn't always about me. Like, if it was always about me, I'd be like, yeah, you definitely intend me to see this. But sometimes it was just kind of like, oh, my brother did this thing. Or like, oh, I did kind of shittily in a test. And I was like, look, I don't have to reply. Look, if it like makes him feel better to just let out his feelings to a chat that isn't ever going to respond, then I'll let him have that. So yeah, that kept going until one time I received a short story. A literal short story. Like, I don't just mean a long message. No, I mean he literally creative writing wrote a fictional story based on our relationship, but a fictional story. Bitch! The gist of it was, I was abusive emotionally, not physically, but I was emotionally abusive. I turned our house into like a meth lab and would always have my friends over to do drugs. He was very much the victim. Like, he was like the house bitch, like fucking cooking me dinner while I'm smoking bongs and doing crack. I don't know. Basically, eventually, it was intense. Like, I was a drug addict in this story and I was like, bitch, I had not even tried alcohol by then. Like, get over yourself. Anyway, so yeah, he was obviously the victim. He was the house bitch. He was cooking me dinner all the time. He was looking after me as I'm fucking off my nuts on fucking speed, whatever. So eventually it gets to one bit where it's my friend, right? I'll read to you just like this paragraph. Demoralized and with a heavy heart, I moved back to the kitchen. I spotted Toby, me, stargazing out the glass roof section with Brian, my best friend, and his cronies. Fucking Brian. They were a piece of shit. They always had a thing for Toby, them being lifelong friends, and flirted with him constantly. Unfortunately, the only times they ever saw each other was when there was a bong involved, so Toby never picked up on it. Ever since I came into the picture, into being 2 words, Brian had resented me and made my life as difficult as they could make it. So, that was the paragraph. Right? So for a little bit of context, my best friend is gay, or like my best friend at the time was gay, we were never a thing, like we were always friends, but like we just both happened to be gay. So that was the paragraph, right? There was a footnote, like, you know, like when I said like fucking Brian, yeah, there was a footnote for that. I'll read it out. So the footnote is, Brian is genderqueer, but pisses everyone off with a masculine name, i.e. beats the shit out of every person who uses he pronouns and only calls themselves Brian to piss people off. Flirts with Toby too, comma, the fucker. In all caps, I fucking hate Brian. Sis, like... Okay, first of all, I want to emphasize, my best friend was just gay. Like, he wasn't genderqueer. He didn't force his... Sound like a boomer, like... Force his sexuality! He didn't force his sexuality on anyone. He was living his sexually ambiguous life. Yeah, so that I was like, holy fuck, that's fucked up. So I sent it to one of my friends who's like, hi, editing me is back hours after the last editing me. So I took like 10 minutes to describe the idea of a mutual friend. So, a mutual friend. I sent it to her and I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, what the fuck? So that happened and like nothing had happened for like a while. Really, that's just the meat of the story, is like that short story was like 1,130 words. So like a proper short story. And then there was the whole thing where like months later I heard that he was actually spreading around that I did anal with him, which I didn't. I learned later, like it wasn't just like, oh, we did anal. Like it was like, oh, like when we did it, like he didn't use lube, I was bleeding, like it was just the worst experience. Like don't ever lose your virginity when you're 15. And I was like, mate, you wish you lost your virginity to me. I was his peak. Let's be real. So yeah, that's pretty much the deal with that. And this is currently a 45-minute video. Let's see how my editing is gonna go. Yeah, I don't really have like any kind of like sign off for this. You know, this might be up today. It might be up Thursday, 5th of September. It might be up Friday, 6th of September. It might be up never. So we'll just see how this goes. This was fun. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you stuck around. You know, a lot of you probably have already heard the story, but if you haven't, there you are. And if you have heard this story before, hopefully the editing made it slightly more entertaining. Yeah, that's kind of all I want to say. Until next time, perhaps. Will I upload again? We'll see. I guess with that all being said, goodbye, and I hope you have a good day.